ease of doing business is key, but it is not the key. There's a bunch of matrices which Nigeria needs to do. And if you look at the matrix of what Nigeria needs to do, most of them comes from how government makes its policies. And they're very easy ones. For example, if we want to focus on foreign direct investment, we need to understand that it's not just fighting corruption, and there's basic issues which we have to do. The policies must be such that enables them. And that's why you see what payback, right? Payback is doing is very fundamental, very, very crucial. But then there's a larger thing. There must be a policy to say, we're going to privatize X, Y, Z. Do this. Where is the investment case? The investment case we need to make. For example, if you go to any foreign embassy in Nigeria, any of Nigerian embassies outside the country, you don't have a trade and investment desk. You don't have where you can link those things up precisely. That is one. They're very simple things. There are laws passed around intellectual property rights, which is basically what helped Bollywood to achieve a lot of goodness. It's not a joke, but if they were to protect this gentleman, there will be an explosion. That is why we are still trying to solve a major problem, which means that we still don't have a financing model around how to manage creative arts in this country. And the financing industry is not able to put a product or funding behind anybody in Nollywood or in the creative arts industry. But yet we see all the critical value chain. So there are a bunch of few things which we try to look at and say, what are those things we on our own can do? For example, how do we get government to quickly move on the issue of blockchain, cryptocurrency, or most importantly on fintech? If you can remove the barriers to allow people to unleash their potentials, we can at least start with what we have and then build upon that. But this notion that the government will be the one to create jobs, to do everything, it won't work. The government is an enabler, and they are trying to do their job, but they can make life easier for themselves and for us by taking steps that will improve on what they have already done.
For business people, the taxation is always high. What do you think the government can do to help them? Because for investors, when they look at the taxation rates, they are being discouraged.
On a more serious note, look, it is tough. When people are coming out of a recession, they're finding it difficult. They are coping with problems with power generation, roads, cost of huge repairs. They're not increasing salaries for workers. Workers are having pressures themselves. And then they still have to pay a tax rate. We believe that the tax rate, it's not like the tax rate is so steep or terrible. In fact, some people will argue that we're not collecting as much tax in Nigeria, and there are valid reasons for it. What we're saying is that not many of us are able to pay tax, because the tax at the base is that nobody at the base is able to pay tax. Only very few at the top who can pay are still not able to pay. So it's more or less you have like the 80% of the 20%, 80% of the taxes are from the 20%. It's the same thing with the state. So the real challenge is not so much of the tax rate killing businesses. The whole environment is killing business. And tax is not the one killing business. It's a legitimate responsibility for people. It's a cost of doing business. So if your tax rate is, say, for example, say approximately about 20%, your cost of borrowing is about 30%, and then the cost of power generation and all those inefficiencies are about 40%. That's like 70%. Where's the cash for you to even do anything in the first place? That is the real challenge. It's the whole basket of things, not just one thing on its own. But I believe they are making efforts. It's not like government is doing people a favor. It is something it has to do, because we're really choked up. So what happens? We close down the business. And so what then do we do? So if I'm unable to meet my responsibilities, I create a wave, more like what you call the butterfly effect. If I can't do it, he can't do it, the other person can't do it, the third can't do it. Sooner or later, you find out that there are multiply effect, and there's a contagion that occurs. And that's when you then there's crisis in the economy. Like what happened in 2015. To use the words of Okoye, he says, the Nigerian economy was decommissioned. What do you mean decommissioned? Is when I can't pay, I'm owing you, you can't pay your landlord, so your landlord cannot send his child to school, the child who's going to school cannot start a business, it revolves around, and then at the end of the day, we're in this vicious circle, and nobody knows what. What then you find is society pays for it in a different way. The level of deviancy, crime, security risk, and pressure on the health system, because people then go to public health centers and whatever, is that we end up paying indirectly what we fail to pay. That's why you find out that if you look at expenses, why would it be easy for you to keep on having higher costs devoted to solving security problems? It was because you failed to solve those other problems before. And the common denominator of it all is poverty. If a father cannot feed his family, if a household cannot take care of the responsibilities, not. The purpose and ultimate function of government is to be responsible for those households. Tokenism may be a good starting point, but it is not sustainable. It is a palliative, it is not a solution. So the ultimate solution is to work around how every single policy is looked at by me from the prism of how does it impact on the household.